You know that feeling, don't you? That just, nagging sense an infection won't truly go away.
Mm.
Or worse, it keeps coming back even after you've tried, well, everything. Antibiotics, maybe.
Yeah.
It's just so frustrating. Makes you feel kind of stuck, in a loop.
It really does. You're definitely not alone in that.
Okay, let's unpack this.
It's such a common thing, and it brings up this really interesting question. Is it, truly the same infection just popping up again?
Right.
Or is there something more complex going on? Something about how these bacteria actually, well, behave and organize themselves inside us?
That's exactly it. That's what we're diving into today, this honestly astonishing world of bacterial organization.
Hmm.
We're looking specifically at two big ideas, quorum sensing and biofilms.
Key concepts.
Yeah. And our mission is basically to figure out what these bacterial shields, these biofilms actually are, how they get formed, and maybe most importantly, how we can naturally and definitively get past them.
Because this isn't just about resistant bacteria anymore, is it?
No, not at all.
We're dealing with entities that are, frankly, intelligent, they're adaptable, and they really demand a totally new way of thinking if we want to beat these persistent health issues.
Okay, so to really set the scene here, let's start with something pretty mind-blowing. Might change how you think about your own body.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know you have roughly, get this, 20 times more microbial cells in your body than human cells?
20 times. Staggering when you think about it.
Let that sink in. These microbes, they aren't just invaders. They're actually, in many ways, essential. They keep us alive.
Absolutely. And this coexistence, it's driven this incredible evolution in bacteria. They've gone way beyond just simple resistance to antibiotics.
Right.
They've developed these really advanced, sophisticated ways of organizing. They can actually talk to each other, communicate.
Like send signals.
Yeah, chemical signals.
Yeah.
And crucially, they form these incredibly tough shields, biofilms, that make them unbelievably hard to get rid of, whether you're using antibiotics or even, strong natural stuff.
Okay, so this brings us to that first key idea you mentioned, quorum sensing. I kind of think of it as their intelligent organization system for bacteria, and actually even some viruses use it too.
Precisely.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
It really does. And to grasp why these infections are so stubborn, we have to talk about these shields. They're quite complex.
So not just a simple wall.
No.
Yeah.
First, you've got biofilms. Picture this sticky, tough membrane, mostly protein, where these organized bacteria hide out. It's like their fortress.
Okay, a fortress.
And then working with those biofilms, or sometimes inside them, you have things called efflux pumps.
Efflux pumps, what do they do?
They're like tiny bouncers, specialized pumps the bacteria use to literally push antibiotics right back out of their cell before they cause damage.
Wow.
Or they can even make and release specific toxins to destroy the antibiotics before they even get close.
So they're actively fighting back.
Very actively.
Yeah.
It's defense and offense.
So, okay, when you keep getting that same thing, maybe in your mouth or like candida or those awful recurring UTIs.
UTIs are a big one.
Or respiratory stuff, skin problems that just won't clear. It's often the same bacteria just hiding out.
Often, yes.
Yeah.
The very same organized group, safe behind their biofilm shield, just waiting, biding their time for the right moment to cause trouble again.
Okay, but why does this happen? What lets them get away with it?
That's the crucial link. It often comes down to something called chronic low-grade inflammation, sometimes called silent inflammation.
Silent inflammation.
Yeah. Think of your immune system like a security guard. If it's constantly busy dealing with other stuff, maybe poor digestion from, that pizza you mentioned,
Guilty.
or ongoing stress, maybe some bad habits, environmental toxins, it gets distracted. Its attention is elsewhere.
Okay.
And that distraction means it can't properly handle bacteria that it normally would eliminate quite easily.
So it gives them an opening.
Exactly. It gives those bacteria the time they need to multiply, to start communicating through quorum sensing, and then when their population hits a certain point, a critical mass. Boom. They form the biofilm. They exploit that window.
That makes so much sense. Okay, so if they're this smart, this organized, building actual fortresses, how on earth do we defeat them? Like, really defeat them? It feels like we're fighting an invisible, intelligent army.
It does feel that way sometimes. And you're right, the old ways often aren't enough. We have to shift our strategy. There are basically 3 core approaches, and often you need to combine them.
Okay, 3 strategies. What are they?
First, breaking through the shield, using specific things, natural compounds, sometimes more technical stuff, designed to actually penetrate or break down that biofilm cover.
Punching holes in the fortress?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Second, cutting off communication. Using substances that interfere with those signal molecules they use to talk to each other, disrupt the quorum sensing.
Jamming their signals.
Exactly. If
Yep,
they can't coordinate, their whole organization weakens.
makes sense. And the third?
The third is more high-tech, but it's gaining ground. Targeted destruction, often using bacteriophages.
Bacteriophages. Those are viruses that
Oh,
attack bacteria.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Specific viruses that can either infect the bacteria, maybe become part of their DNA, or just destroy them outright. It's very targeted, becoming super valuable for tough cases.
Okay, wow. So breaking the shield, cutting communication, targeted destruction. But it sounds like this isn't a quick fix.
Definitely not. That's really important to understand. Dealing with these organized bacterial situations, it's usually a slower process. It takes persistence. It's not like a 5-day course of antibiotics and you're done. It requires patience and often that multi-pronged attack hitting their different strengths.
Right. Addressing your actual intelligence.
Exactly. And a really crucial first step, identifying the specific part of the body that's affected.
Why does that matter so much?
Because the type of bacteria, the specific kind of biofilm they form, and therefore the best way to tackle it, can vary a lot depending on where it is. You need to be precise.
Okay, let's break that down then. Let's go region by region. Where should we start? Maybe. The mouth. Seems like a common starting point for trouble.
Good place to start. Yeah, the mouth. Think about cavities, plaque, tartar, gum disease like gingivitis, periodontitis.
All infections, basically.
All infectious pathologies, yeah. And they can affect your whole body. There's even a strong link between oral health and urogenital health.
Really? Didn't know that.
The challenge in the mouth is it's small, it's concentrated. Perfect conditions for really strong biofilms, even if you're brushing constantly, flossing, maybe doing oil pulling.
Yeah, I've tried oil pulling.
It helps, but it often can't fully break down established biofilms. They're too tough.
So what works for the mouth?
Okay, for the mouth, two things really stand out for tackling that biofilm shield. Xylitol and lactoferrin.
Xylitol, like in sugar-free gum.
Exactly. Xylitol basically messes with the metabolism of the bad bacteria, the ones that form biofilms, like Streptococcus mutans. It kind of stars them, makes it hard for them to build their defenses.
Okay, and lactoferrins.
Lactoferrin is fascinating. It's a protein found naturally in saliva and milk. It acts like an iron scavenger. Bacteria need iron to build biofilms and thrive. Lactoferrin binds up the free iron, essentially starving them of a key building material.
So both are about weakening the biofilm itself.
Precisely. They help degranulate, degenerate that biofilm cover, allowing your own defenses or even just good brushing to penetrate better. Strategy 1, break the shield.
Got it. Okay, moving down. What about the respiratory tract? So much happens there. That persistent mucus, phlegm, itchy throat, maybe coughing or sneezing after eating.
Very common. Or waking up with a stuffy nose, red eyes, maybe a flushed face, classic rhinitis signs.
Yeah, your body feels like it's constantly trying to kick something out, but it just can't.
That's often the biofilm at work again. And here, cutting off communication becomes really key too. Otherwise, that bacterial army just keeps reinforcing itself.
So break the shield and cut communication. What helps here?
All right, for respiratory, N-acetylcysteine, usually called NAC.
NAC, I've heard of that. Isn't it good for, like, detox?
It is. It's a precursor to glutathione, which fuels liver detox. But NAC also has a direct effect. It chemically helps break apart the mucus structure and components of the biofilm membrane itself. It's like a chemical crowbar for biofilms.
Okay, interesting. What else?
Phytosomed curcumin. We mentioned curcumin, but this form is specially prepared to be much more absorbable.
Right, phytosomed.
Yeah, it's fantastic for both dismantling the biofilm and penetrating it, making the bacteria inside vulnerable. Double action.
Nice.
And then there's quercetin.
Quercetin. That's an anti-inflammatory, right? Often used for allergies.
It is a great natural anti-inflammatory, but crucially, it also seems to interfere with quorum sensing. It jams those bacterial communication signals we talked about.
So it weakens their whole organization.
Exactly, weakens their intelligent coordination. So, NAC and curcumin hit the shield, quercetin hits the communication.
Okay, powerful combo. Right, next up, a really, really common one, especially for women, the urinary tract. Those recurring UTIs.
Yes, so frustrating.
Where antibiotics might work for a bit, but then it's back. Or maybe they don't seem to work much at all.
And the challenge here is often that quorum sensing organization is so effective in the urinary tract lining. The bacteria are so well protected in their biofilm that the antibiotics you take just get flushed through your system with urine.
Without actually reaching the bacteria hiding in the walls?
Pretty much. They get eliminated without really tackling the core hidden infection. It's like they've built bunkers in the bladder wall.
Okay, so for UTIs, what can break through that bunker?
A really powerful natural option here, hitting both breaking through and potentially targeted destruction aspects, is grapefruit seed extract, GSE.
Grapefruit seeds. Ugh.
Yes, the extract. It's a very potent natural antimicrobial, and studies suggest it can penetrate biofilms in the urinary tract, so it can make any antibiotics you're taking more effective by clearing the path,
Or maybe work on its own.
or potentially act as a significant antimicrobial agent itself in that environment. It's quite remarkable stuff for UTIs.
Good to know. Okay, now, the big one. The one we probably hear about most often. The digestive tract. The gut.
Ah, yes. SIBO, LIBO, all the BOs. Small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, large intestinal.
Right. If you have that kind of bacterial overgrowth in your gut, can you just assume biofilms and quorum sensing are involved?
It's a very safe assumption. In fact, you pretty much have to assume it. Those mechanisms are almost certainly playing a role, and they must be addressed, must be dismantled for any kind of gut treatment, natural, conventional, whatever, to actually work long term.
Okay, so you need to tackle the organization first. What helps in the gut?
For the gut, focusing on breaking the shield and disrupting communication, two key players are glutamine and berberine.
Glutamine. That's an amino acid, right? Good for gut healing.
Exactly. L-glutamine. It does help heal the gut lining, which is crucial. A leaky gut often drives that chronic inflammation we talked about, the inflammation that gives bacteria the opening they need.
Right. Closes the gates.
Yeah, helps impermeabilize the digestive tube. But glutamine also seems to have a role in disrupting the bacterial organization itself.
Interesting. And berberine, I've heard that's a strong antimicrobial.
It is. Berberine is a plant compound, really potent against various microbes. And importantly for this conversation, it significantly helps disrupt that interbacterial organization and biofilm formation. Makes it much harder for them to coordinate their defenses in the gut environment.
So glutamine for healing and disruption, berberine for direct antimicrobial action and breaking organization.
A very effective pair for tackling gut dysbiosis involving these organized bacteria.
Okay, one more major area. The skin, body's largest organ.
And a common site for recurrent issues. Infections that just don't clear up with creams or they go away and come right back.
Yeah. What's the connection here? Is it just local?
Often not just local. There's a really interesting connection, a kind of triad between the skin, the lungs, and the liver. It's linked through something called the common mucosal immune system. Issues in one can reflect in the others.
Wow, okay. Skin, lungs, liver.
So these recurrent skin things, again, very often it's bacteria protected by biofilms, organized via quorum sensing.
Same pattern. So what works on the skin? Combining breaking the shield and cutting communication again.
That's the strategy. And a star player here is tea tree oil.
Ah, tea tree. Good old antiseptic.
It is, but it's more than that. It's antibacterial, yes, but it's also a potent anti-quorum sensing agent. It really messes with their communication and organization. It's almost like kryptonite for some bacterial communities.
Can you use it topically?
Definitely topically,
Yeah.
diluted appropriately, of
Yeah.
course. And interestingly, there are specific formulations designed to be taken internally, but you need to be careful with that and use the right product.
Okay. Anything else good for skin?
That liposomal curcumin we mentioned for respiratory, also very useful here.
Highly absorbable one.
Yes, combining liposomal curcumin internally with topical tea tree oil can be a really effective approach for those stubborn recurrent skin infections, hitting them from the inside and the outside, disrupting the biofilm and communication.
Okay, wow. We've covered a lot of ground. The mouth, respiratory, urinary, gut, skin. So what does all of this mean for someone listening who's maybe dealing with one of these recurring things?
I think it means that understanding how these bacteria organize themselves, the quorum sensing, the biofilms, it gives you incredible power. It helps you see why things haven't worked, and it opens up new ways to finally break those frustrating cycles. There's a shift in perspective.
Yeah, it's not just about killing bacteria, it's about outsmarting them.
Precisely. Knowing how they organize allows for much more targeted, much more effective solutions. Whether you're using natural approaches or more technological ones like phages, it goes way beyond just thinking about resistance. It's about tackling the sophisticated strategies head on.
We really hope this deep dive has sparked some aha
Yeah.
moments for you listening. Maybe you recognized yourself in some of these descriptions, that recurring UTI, the skin thing, the gut issues.
Mm.
If so, maybe think about exploring these specific ideas, these solutions a bit further. Perhaps talk them over with your own doctor or health provider.
Absolutely. And maybe just a final thought to leave you with, something to chew on.
Oh, yeah.
If bacteria right here inside us are constantly evolving, communicating, forming these complex hidden societies, what other kinds of invisible intelligence might be influencing our health in ways we're only just, beginning to scratch the surface of understanding?
That's a deep one. Lots to think about there.